Alright, we are working on the 93 C4 Corvette today. So in the last video when I got it running, there was these oil stains. Massive oil leak. Just from one day of running and not even like 5 minutes of run time, it lost over a quart of oil. Massive oil leak. So to catch you up on what I've done so far, I put enough oil in it so it was at the right level so I could run it and then check where the leak is coming from once I had it jacked up. Sometimes it won't leak if it's jacked up, but this time it did, so that was good. So over where the shield is for the torque converter, I noticed there were oil leaks there. There's a big oil stain here on both sides of the shield, and then it was dripping off of the bolts in the back. Get my light set up. So it's dripping off of the bolt here for the shield and the other bolt there. All these wires here are soaked in oil. The engine block is actually painted black, and it's like sort of a wrinkle black because of the texture in the block. So that made it hard to find oil leaks because it all just blends in, especially with the oil being brand new. It's hard to see. I took the oil filter out. I took the oil sender unit out too, just to figure out where the leak's coming from, because I saw oil dripping off the filter. I see oil around this drain plug, but I did just drain the oil. There's oil on this sensor. This is for the oil level sensor. I don't know what sensor this is, but there's oil on this. You can see more butt connectors. I don't know who was touching this wiring. So let me show you what I ultimately found. So this is the oil sender unit. So it's bolted in sort of like that, this bottom side being the filter side. So on the block above this oil sender unit, there is this oil pressure sensor on the 93 and I think 92 Corvettes too. All the other LT1 Corvettes have it behind the intake manifold on the top of the engine. Let's see if I can point it out. Right down here, over by this EGR stuff, I think that's EGR, there's two sensors, and the oil pressure sensor would be in there. It kind of looks like someone actually has one in there. I don't know what's going on. But this oil sensor, it's pretty tight to get to, so as I was getting my socket ready to break the nut off so I could twist this out, I just turned it by hand and it came out. So that makes me think this was just never tightened. The leak is definitely coming from this area. And a big issue with these LT1s is you usually get the oil leak coming from the back of the intake manifold down here, and then it drips down, and that could be a pretty sizable leak. Another one is the seal on the water pump behind it, the oil seal. That may be leaking. I'm not sure. Clearly this one is the bigger leak, so I need to address the bigger leak first. So I'm gonna clean the sensor up, just clean the threads, and I'm actually gonna probably buy one of those special sockets for these, because I don't actually have one of those. I'm gonna try to show you guys. So I got the sensor and you can see the tip of it sticking in. And then back there's some exposed wires. Those are the wires for the sensor. That would explain why the sensor sometimes was pegged full, sometimes was pegged not at all. So gonna fix those wires up, clean them up, and then that should fix that issue. Alright, moved the Corvette, filled it up with oil, parked it off. Now I gotta clean up this driveway. So if you got oil stains on your concrete driveway, this is the stuff I use, this purple super clean stuff.
And when this doesn't work, I use paint stripper, but obviously try not to use paint stripper all the time. Alright, got the car running, gonna take it for a drive. So you can see the oil pressure is actually reading instead of being pegged from 0 or 80. It goes up when I do it. And as far as I know, it's working. We obviously know it had oil pressure because it was leaking like crazy. Should be able to just pull forward. This mirror is completely busted, so I literally can't see out of that mirror. Got both windows down. Shifted right there. Alright, I'm gonna focus on driving right now. Just stepped on it a little bit. It's really interesting how much that LS1 is in my C5, like how much powerful that is in the C4. Like, this still has a bit of a kick to it, but especially in an automatic, you don't really feel it. Not like, I felt it more in the stick shift 85 that I had with the L98 engine than I do in this one with the LT1 engine with the automatic. But the engine sounds healthy. It roars when it's going up top. It's pretty nice. This car is shaking a little bit, but all the motor mounts look new, so I'm not sure what that is, unless it has a slight miss. Yeah, first test drive, looking good. We're gonna go put it back in my driveway and make sure there's no leaks coming from it. And you can see the oil pressure right there. It's moving, it's working good. The oil temp is pegged at 0, or 100 I guess, which is basically 0, so the wires are bad on that. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't, but it's a good amount of smoke coming. This is oil. It's oil smoke coming right off of this exhaust, it looks like. Yeah, I don't see anywhere where there's no wet spots dripping onto the exhaust manifold. And it's hard to tell if it's like the top or the bottom. The top kind of has a little wet coating to it, almost like it was sprayed with WD-40 or whatever, penetrating fluid, when they removed it. I don't know. So there's still a few drips underneath the car. They're dripping off of the, I think it's the transcooler lines, because it's right by the transmission. That line's wet. I was thinking that it was just from that oil pressure sensor leaking, and then it was hopping over the bell housing onto that, or going under. But must be some other leak. That doesn't seem as bad. I mean, the other leak I had before was massive. You can still see the little resonance. So we know we gotta fix the oil temperature sensor. That's back there, I'm pretty sure. The wiring is most likely bad. And then we gotta figure out if this smoke is just burn off from penetrating fluid being on the manifolds or what. I'm just surprised it's still smoking. The entire exhaust system of the car is almost new. So you can kind of hear it expanding and making that noise that it does. Like, this car was, a lot of work was put into this car. It's just fortunate that the work wasn't that great. We found in the last video that the radiator is wired. That's what this blue wire is. It's jumping to ground, basically making it run as soon as the ignitions turn on. So we'll have to look into that as well. But the car drove good. Engine sounds nice, especially when it's roaring in the higher RPMs. This is my first LT1 experience. I've had a 96 Camaro with the LT1, but of course when I got it started it had rod knocks, so. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. More of an update rather than actually watched me do anything. But yeah, fixed the oil leak. That was the main thing. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.